talking about it, but we didn't go as a family. She went with another group of
beautiful
friends.
place.
I'm hoping that, you know, they can design maybe some bridges. I don't know how that will work, so that they keep the beach front.
Okay.
You know,
So cross
and, you know, the bridge, you know, design something that still covers and keeps the investment that you've put in place.
I think we have
keeps the
intelligent
beauty
people
of the waterfront. I would love to see the beaches.
Yes.
I still remember the bar beach. My dad used to take us there every weekend, just drive, and I miss it when I pass. I don't see the water and all of that, so I'd really like to see.
Yeah. I'll just say that my own reply will be: a willing mind will find 1,000 ways, and I feel that for the greater good, if we actually look at the greater good, this is not just about Landmark. This is about all the real estate developers operating in Lagos, all the investors who hope to invest in Lagos. For the greater good, a willing mind will find 1,000 ways to make this work.
Yeah,
amazing.
And the fact also that we want our businesses to outlive us.
Yes.
We have, when you go abroad, you see companies that have lasted 100 years, 200 years, 500 years.
Yes.
You're on your way, 27 years. It's a huge feat. We're all praying to get there. So please, government should help. And I believe that by the time the negotiation starts fully, they would find a way to see how that can be resolved. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The pleasure is entirely mine.
Yes, thank you for joining us on the show. We've been speaking with the CEO of Landmark Africa Group, Paul Onwanibe. We wish you all the best in this Landmark venture. And we hope that we'll hear good news soon.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, ladies, for being a wonderful
co-hosts
and contributors on the show today. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye now.
Insecticide with its improved formulation kills 100% mosquitoes that spread malaria. So spread the message of how we can fight to end malaria with Mortein. Mortein, our #1 choice.
Kehinde suffers from indigestion. His twin Taiyi suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around, or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts for up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action.
Bye, Mom.
He's going to play in this weather? Why did you let him go? He might fall ill.
And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with Germ Defense gives you protection. Rainy season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's Germ Defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Today, there are many complex, boring, expensive, and useless exercise machines in the market. Or you pay over 400,000 naira a year for gym membership and never go. ShopX TV is proud to introduce Total Crunch Evolution, the compact, versatile fitness solution that is perfect for you. With Total Crunch, you get a complete fitness workout in one machine. Say goodbye to ineffective and complicated exercise machines. Now, you have the power to transform your fitness journey and get the body you have always wanted right in the comfort of your own home. Total Crunch is the efficient and effective way to build muscle, tone and tighten your legs, shape your back and pectorals, while strengthening your core and defining your abs. Now that's totally effective to get the body you want. With Total Crunch, your whole body works out at the same time. Only Total Crunch can put your whole body in motion as you burn calories and lose weight. Just one fitness routine a week will achieve serious results in 4 weeks.
Total Crunch Evolution has enhanced the way I work out and the results I achieve. It's not just a fitness equipment, it's a life changer. This versatile, time-saving machine is perfect for anyone looking to lose weight or stay in shape. Trust me, This is the game changer you've been waiting for.
With my busy schedule, finding time to work out and stay in shape has always been a challenge until I discovered the Total Crunch Evolution. It's a lifesaver.
Traditional exercise equipment is large, complex, takes up so much space in your home, and you could be paying up to 400,000 naira for annual gym fees. Get the Total Crunch Evolution, the 2-in-1 fitness solution to save the cost and transform your body from the convenience of your home. Similar equipment costs 300,000 naira, but you can get the Total Crunch Evolution for not 300,000 naira, not even 200,000 naira. Order right now and get your Total Crunch Evolution for just 179,950 naira only. And that's not all. You can get our Total Crunch Evolution in 2 easy payments of 89,975 naira. That's right. Pay twice to get your Total Crunch. And remember, if you order now, you get the Total Crunch Evolution delivered to you for free anywhere you are in Nigeria. And it comes with a ShopEx 30-day money-back guarantee. Call the number on your screen now or scan the code to place your order now. But hurry, limited stock available. The proceeding is a paid presentation brought to you by ShopEx TV.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news. Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News, first with breaking news.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector, and government to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
Wherever you see destruction, it's because God is absent. There is no destruction in God. So who started killing from Genesis? Satan. Jesus exposed him. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But I am come that you may have life and have it how much? More abundant. I prophesy as your amen is coming like thunder. Whatever is yours, receive it now.
Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Hope you had a great weekend. Okay, beginning of the week and in earnest. Okay, let's start off. We've got two topics today. Let's start off with a look at the political ground, the political scene in Ondo State. The election is an off-season election. It'll be coming up, as you're already well aware, that'll be coming up in November. But The primaries are scheduled for later this month. The two leading parties in the place, APC and PDP, APC would appear to be, going, not would appear, I think has definitely said that they'll be going with direct primaries for the process, and it is thought that PDP will be going for indirect primaries. Now, what is the lie of the ground? The incumbent governor, Aiyedatiwa, who is serving the rest of the term of Arakunrin Akeredolu of blessed memory, he is also in the race. He has said that there's no vacancy, but there are other players that are sort of chopping at the bit, so to speak. Let's look at that with a person who is knowledgeable about the politics in Ondo State, Femi Odere. Mr. Odere is a public affairs analyst. He's a senior legislative aide to the Senate President on stakeholders, engagement, and mobilization. A fine morning to you, Femi Odere.
Good morning, Yori. Good to see you again.
Indeed. So, not everybody knows that you're actually an Ondo man. That we'll just quickly get that out of the way.
Yeah, now they know.
You're based in Ibadan.
used to think that I'm wrong.
You're based in Ibadan. Have been a long while.
Yeah.
You served in the government of Ekiti under Fayemi.
Yeah.
And you are also quite active, shall we say, on the goings on in Ondo State. So I think between Oyo State and Ekiti State and Ondo State, let it now be known that you are an Ondo man.
Well, let me actually put it this way to you, Yori. I don't feel any encumbrance when it comes to my state of origin.
Yeah.
As long as it is the Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
I feel pretty much at home anywhere in the Southwest.
Yeah.
I can blend because we speak Yoruba.
Yeah.
And I've always been telling people that I can work in the government, or in any government in the Southwest.
In the South.
And I don't have any encumbrance. That I just happen to be born in Akure, in present Ondo State. So, and with the way the Constitution is arranged, so it is where you were born that you will claim,
Yes.
and it is where you are born that you can claim to have rights and privileges and all of that. So even after starting my political journey, so to speak, in Ekiti State, people are still telling me that, look, if you want to get any far in politics, it is better to start looking at your home base.
Anyhow, as you said, it's one Nigeria really at the end of the day. You have put the limitation on it in the Southwest, but still there are people who originally were of Southern origins that are working as far as up north.
Yeah, right.
I
was just trying to be modest.
Yeah.
As a former diaspora focal point officer under the government of His Excellency Governor Kayode Fayemi, I can work in any state government across the country. The only thing might be maybe language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to Gombe State, for instance, I don't speak Hausa or Sokoto. But as long as English is the official communication thing, then I'm good to go.
Okay. Yeah. Now, today, you are the senior legislative aide to the Senate President on stakeholders, engagement, and mobilization.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily factor into any sectional interest, does it?
No.
It's about as the engagement and mobilization. Stakeholders, engagement.
Well, if you want me to explain that, I can do that briefly so that we don't take too much out of the time, because we want to talk about Ondo State politics, which is the reason why I'm here. But when you're speaking about stakeholders engagement, there are two basic stakeholders in the Nigerian project: the governmental stakeholders and the non-governmental stakeholder.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I come to this position with a holistic view that when it comes to the activities of the Senate President, His Excellency Godswill Akpabio, he wants to engage with every stakeholder. It doesn't matter how little you may be artisans as stakeholders in the Nigerian project. Lawyers Association, medical association, nurses and engineers. They are all stakeholders. So it is my duty, if you will, to engage these different stakeholders with a view to finding out how legislation can be of benefit to them, right, and what the Senate President can actually do to actually enhance their own and group interests as well.
And mobilize them.
And mobilize them, exactly, as we go along. Yeah,
okay.
That's what the stakeholders engage.
Yeah, thank you very much for sort of explaining that. Now, back to the point that you are an Ondo man, and we'll talk about Ondo politics this morning. It's one of your many interests. How is it, the two main parties in Ondo State are PDP and APC. If you want to put it the other way around, APC and PDP, it doesn't really matter. Talking about the two main parties, the incumbent governor is APC.
Yes.
And he is serving out the term of his principal, now of blessed memory, Harakunri Rotimi Akeredolu. As to who I have heard it said before that there's no vacancy in government house. That has been said by his people. But he is from the, if I get the politics right, the South.
Yeah.
Is it not?
The South Senatorial District.
The South Senatorial District.
And it's particularly an Elijah man.
There
are three basic tribes in the South Senatorial District. You have the Elijahs, where he's from, and you have the Kales, and you have the Jaws, who are those people, the Joarogbos and the Joakboi, yes. And I think that's four distinct sub-ethnic groups.
That's towards the north, right? Or is it central?
Which one?
That is when we talk about the three distinct groupings.
Yeah, they're all in the South Senatorial District.
All of those are
all of those people are in the South Senatorial District. And about 16, I think so far, now I think about probably 16 aspirants that are jostling for this ticket. And about 15 of them are all from the South Senatorial District, except Mr. Engineer Tunji Ariyomo, who's actually from Akure, from my hometown, who's from Akure Central. So, but I think the convention is there. The zoning, without actually calling it zoning, that this time around is going to go to the South Senatorial District because late Aketi was from the North Senatorial District. So it's going to go to the South, while hopefully the running mate of whoever picks the ticket from the South Senatorial District is supposed to come from the Central Senatorial District. That's the kind of zoning arrangement.
And whether by accident or design, it seems to be the same in the PDP as well. Yeah. That's the way they are also looking at it.
Yeah, they're looking at it that way.
That the governor should come from the
south.
From the south this time around.
Yeah.
Now the incumbent governor is also interested.
Sure.
And so if he were to vie, there are those who are thinking that it might look good to him, but it will be shortchanging the South in the sense that they would then be limited to no more than one more term. And since Mimiko broke the jinx about a governor serving 2 terms in Ondo State, it's like everybody naturally will be looking towards doing precisely that. So who do you look at as the favorites? It doesn't come down to favorites. I guess it comes down to people who are vying. For instance, let me just set the ball rolling. There are those who say that Olushola Oke, for instance, he's contested for the office up to 3 times, I think. And so there are those who are looking at it, if not from a "it is my turn" point of view, not that he has said that, but perhaps the water might just ebb towards his side. Not everybody is in agreement with that. So let me ask what your perspective is as to who you would not be surprised if they were the front runners, or perhaps much more directly, who are you supporting for the office?
Well, Yori, let me approach this conversation from 2 basic angles.
Okay.
One angle is from the point of view of the party, the APC.
Yes.
And the other one is from the point of view of the of the potential aspirant that I think is going to be good for the ticket.
Okay.
And
let's go with the party
and,
first.
The party, you see, I'm of the view that the party has to be very, very careful going into this election. Why do I say that? The party must look at this whole Ondo State election holistically. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that, Rory, is that there are so many things that goes into electing an aspirant for a particular governorship election. And I want to counsel that, you see, Ondo politics, and for the most part, Ekiti politics, are very peculiar. And peculiar in the sense that we have electorates that can be brutally principled. We have electorate that can be, no pun intended, cantankerous. So meaning that if care is not taken and the party doesn't handle this process very well, we might be trying to give the election to the opposition, and I don't want that to happen. That is one thing. Another reason is that we have to look at it from the angle of the base of the president. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, comes from the Southwest. You see, we have already lost 2 states in the Southwest, and that is not good for us. And that is why we need to be very careful not to lose Ondo State, because this region is the president's base going into 2027. So from that standpoint, I would say that's why I said the party needs to be very, very careful. So in other words, the party should actually look at all the different scenarios, all the different permutations, and making sure that they don't give the ticket to somebody who has what can be described as a clay feet. Because once a clay feet.
Okay, clay feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody who doesn't have baggage.
Yes. I understand you.
All of that. So now, so the question now, after accessing all these aspirants as to their weaknesses, their strengths, they're doing a sort of a SWOT analysis, if you will. The party should now say, okay, who should we send?
This takes us to the antecedents of the people that are presenting themselves,
the aspirants,
and the aspirants,
and
how the people of Ondo see it. They'll want to look at things like their integrity, their competence, their experience. No doubt, all of these things are going to be, factored into how acceptable that candidate will be. Now, I asked you, who are you favoring? Who do you think would be a candidate that would tick all the boxes for the people of Ondo?
You see, Yori, I've basically analyzed most of the aspirants. And let me start from the current governor. And I've said this before, and I'm going to repeat it here. If I were the one to have advised him, I would have advised him not to run. Why? Because he's running, and even before he decided to run, has actually factionalized the party. It has actually split the party down the middle.
Why?
Why? Because I'm not sure if you are aware of the tiff, let's just call it that way, between him and late Akeredolu. And the tiff was very strong, although one may not be privy to what actually went down. But the fact remains that some very bad things went down to the extent that when he was sworn in as the acting governor, the next thing the governor said was Akurire. And you see, Akiti has his own supporters, and we cannot discount that, as much as Ayedatiwa also having his own supporters. So in other words,
might that not have been a misspeak? that might be unforgivable. Unfortunately, politicians and political environment will latch on to anything. Might that not have been a misspeak? That often can happen in the excitement of the times. And I say this because I saw a video, I'm sure you might be aware of it, if not the video, the relations between the two of them, going back to when he was being chosen, and the nice things that Akeredolu said about him.
I saw the video.
You saw the video.
Yeah, I saw the video.
And it showed you that there was no problem between these two gentlemen. In fact, Akeredolu was promoting him.
That was then.
Now you say that was then.
Yeah.
And
When
there's no
they
water
first started.
under the bridge
Exactly.
since then.
Exactly.
Now, I just wanted to say that, that unfortunate, because Yoruba is a delicate, which language is not even delicate, it has its layers.
Yes.
And then when Akuorire was uttered as a statement,
when you should be mourning,
everybody would have known that, oh my God, that was a misspeak. This is not the time for Akuorire. But you mentioned that in passing. That begins to suggest to me is that some of the things that might be considered in where you were just speaking about why you wouldn't identify, because you said you would advise the gentleman,
the governor, not to run,
not to run.
Right.
And then you were enumerating, and I just had to interject at that point. What you've just explained, that that was then, and it appears things went as good after that.
Well, not necessarily, Yori, because the governor has not come out in any way, shape, or form to actually discount that statement, or to reverse, or to backpedal,
or to explain it, or to apologize,
or
do anything.
and all of that. So that it actually puts a whole lot of a monkey wrench, in this whole thing. Yeah. And I would think that the party actually needs cohesion and unity at this point. And the only person, just about one of the key people that can bring cohesion to the party and the support, that is the governor. Okay. And that's why I said he shouldn't have run. He should have found a way, although he has the right. Don't let us take that away from him. But when you look at the general interest one must first of all look at the general interest of the party rather than the individual interest. Unfortunately, nowadays politicians look at their own individual interest at the expense of the party's interest. So now, going to who do I?
Because we spent a lot of time, and as often happens in political conversations, you haven't told me who your preferred candidate is.
Well, my preferred candidate is simply Senator Jimoh Ibrahim.
Senator Jimoh Ibrahim.
Yes. Yes. And
you know what, we were talking a bit earlier about boxes to be ticked, and you think Senator Jimoh Ibrahim is a business mogul, he's a lawyer. I don't know how deeply involved he is in the politics of Ondo State, but there will be the reasons why you think there are many more experienced politicians in Ondo State, I would wager, than Senator Jimoh Ibrahim. So why throwing in your camp? Well, apart from the fact, and tell me if this is relevant or not, the Senate President and Senator Jimoh Ibrahim would seem to be on the same page as far as his aspiration is. Is it just because of that?
No. Let me just tell you why I prefer and why I believe people should prefer Senator Jimoh Ibrahim. When you talk about experience, he has that. Don't forget the fact that...
Experience in what, sir?
Yeah.
Business?
Or
in law?
No, the business, in law, and all of that. That is that. But when it comes to even politics, remember, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim ran as far back as in the early 2000s. I think under, was it AMPP at that time? And so he has always been building his political base in Ondo State. So, and that is one thing. See, we are living in a modern world, yes. Yori. Anybody can sign files. You write approve or you don't approve and all of that. But governance is much more than that. This is an individual, I'm talking about Jimoh Ibrahim now, who has about 9 degrees. A lot of us struggled to even have 1 degree before we get out of university. But this is an individual who has 9 degrees. So he knows his onion. He's an ideas man.
Do the people of Ondo State know him?
Of course. If they don't know him,
yes,
he wouldn't have been a senator at this point in time from his own senatorial district.
That's one way to
put
it.
So he's an household name, no doubt about that. But he's now coming out to want to do for the South senatorial district where he hails from, and also what he did in the business community to the generality of the people of Ondo State. And let me also say this. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim is a first-timer. In the present 10th National Assembly, particularly we're talking about the Senate now, he's a rising star.
Okay.
And he has brought so much value addition to governance, particularly from Ondo State. Here is an individual who sponsored the bitumen bill. Ondo State is known to have perhaps the largest deposit of bitumen, that nothing ever has been done about it as far as I can recollect. But he came into the National Assembly, he sponsored this bill. This bill has gone through the second reading right now. It's going into the third reading. And he has already told us what bitumen itself can do in catapulting the developmental agenda of Ondo State and leveraging that bitumen to building roads and other infrastructural facilities. That is one thing.
That is just one.
That is just one.
It's important. He's a man of many parts, no doubt, any way you look at it. But you see, and as you said, he must be known if he was elected as senator. You couldn't pull that stunt if you are not known in your environment. But in the political terrain, I don't know if to refer to it as the political family or the political orbit of Ondo State. That is where I was asking how well known he was and whether he could tick all the boxes, because trust is very, very important, and people would bring their judgment as to how well can we trust this person. Not Senator Ibrahim himself, any person putting themselves forward for the number one office in Ondo State. Do you think he has that relation with the generality of Ondo citizens?
Let me make myself as an example. I used not to even like Senator Jimoh Ibrahim. But
sorry, let me quickly take a caller.
Sure.
Maybe. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yari.
Yes, thank you for calling in. Very quickly, please.
Yes, Uncle Yari, what is uppermost in my mind this morning is about this scam that the Minister of Power is trying to bring to the electricity sector.
Mr. George, I beg your pardon. We have very little time left on this particular subject, and so going off syllabus, so to speak, doesn't really work for us. I'm so sorry, Mr. George, and you don't usually do it. I must quickly return to here because we have just a few minutes left on this particular subject matter.
Thank you, Yori. So, as I was saying, I used not to like him, but when I sat down with this man, Jimoh Ibrahim is very sound. He knows where the shoe pinches, and he has actually advocated so many developmental programs, not even for the state, but for the federal government. Okay. He has shown the federal government how to develop the economy, and we're talking about a world now that is ruled by ideas, and idea rules the world, and Senator Jimoh Ibrahim has that. I mean, it's not for nothing to have an individual have a nine different degrees, including 2 PhDs. So I have no doubt in my mind that out of all the parks, the man actually stands out.
Okay,
no doubt about that.
He stands out, no doubt about that. And whereas you are speaking for him, I'm not speaking for anybody, but I do look at someone like Olushola Oke that I spoke about. Mm-hmm. He's a what do you call these lawyers? He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Yes. He's, in fact, people have referred to him as a serial contestant. He knows the political terrain. Surely, he can't be much lower in your estimation as appropriate candidates than.
Yeah, you see, what I would say about
what you said.
Is that yes, he's known to be a serial contestant, no doubt about that. But you see,
and an experienced person.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Okay.
You know,
But
because
if not necessarily, Jimoh Ibrahim doesn't have any experience in governance, in politics.
you see, as I've said that before, Yori, when you talk about the experience, we've had governors who spent 80 years just signing files and approving and not approving without bringing any idea into governance, without articulating what developmental tragedy the state is going to go. But now we have a situation, we have somebody who has not only the idea, but who knows the business community, who knows the international community, who is also a big player at the National Assembly. And don't let us forget that. You need different stakeholders as a governor to actually get what they call the backing to your state.
Let me bring in Femi from Ipaja. Good morning, Femi. Quickly, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Felix from Ipaja.
Yes, go ahead, Femi.
Good morning. I'm Felix from Ipaja.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Yori, there's something I want you to understand. Governor is not by degree. It's not by degree. I know that your guys have personal interest with the different bank. That's why I'm talking about it. This governor is not by degree at all. We know it is state. If you say this person that is not for this can come and declare that it's not like that. It is state.
Okay, Femi, what I heard you say is governor is not by degree.
That's what it said. The right man in those stations is saying, I did that one.
Okay, unfortunately, I don't know.
Let's pick it up from there.
But okay, Femi, because we don't have all the time we would like left, so we'll just leave it at that you take exception to my guest's suggestion, and principle among those, the reason why is that governor is not by degree, and that's in relation to his preferred candidate, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, being quite widely academically decorated.
Yes. See, I beg to disagree with my namesake. Governance is about knowledge. And how do you acquire knowledge? You acquire knowledge by educational attainment.
Okay.
And how do you attain educationally? You attain education by reading.
Okay.
You know,
by study.
By study and knowing the issues at hand.
You know.
So you cannot be
there's a scholarship component.
You cannot be a school cert holder.
So there's a scholarship component.
Of course,
to the high office of governor.
A very big one at that.
Okay.
You know, to good governance. Because if you study leaders around the world, you know that they are academically sound, they are resolute in their conviction, and they have ideas. You know, you cannot have ideas if you are not academically sound. So I disagree with him very strongly that, yes, it may not be the only education, degrees may not be the only thing that connotes good governance, but it is one of the fundamental things for you to have. And we have aspirants whose certificate is still being questioned and all of that. Is that who you want to put in governance?
You know what we've done here? Within the limits of this program, what we've done here is that we've at least floated that particular boat and it for to be examined. And know that we'll have to come back to the subject again.
So you need to give me 1 hour or more. Really, because
1 hour or more.
Because the stakes are very high, quite frankly.
Yes, but Ondo State arguably has what it takes in terms of manpower and men of substance.
Yes.
But you happen to be behind one of those men, not the only one. And so.
And when you talk about manpower, like what I said, Awolowo said, it only takes the deep to call into the deep. You cannot be a pedestrian kind of leader and acquire brilliant minds around you. You only surround yourself with pedestrian mindset too.
I hear you.
You know, so it is only when you are deep in your thinking process, it is only when you are deep in your ideas that you can attract others who are as deep as you to actually move whatever you are governing forward. And this is why this
benefit the good people
exactly.
on those
and
states.
This
That's
is
the most important
exactly.
thing. Since these people are not looking for the office for themselves, but for the benefit of the good people.
And let me quickly add to this too, Yori. Ondo State has not been lucky when it comes to good leadership along the line. And this is the time now that we need to start changing the direction. And this is time now we need to start changing the narrative. And when you look at all of them, the man, Jimoh Ibrahim, simply stands out. That's no question about that.
A fine place
and there are
leave
facts.
It's
just that you cannot allow me to present all the facts to you because of our limited time.
In 15 seconds. You need much more than that. And that's a fine place to leave it. Thank you very much, Femi Odere. The statement that Jimoh Ibrahim is, what did you say? You were promoting him, that he's,
maybe
he's right up there.
I'm not even sure we want to use that word promoting him. It simply stands out.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Leave it at where you said Jimoh Ibrahim simply stands out.
Yes.
Let's leave it at that till we meet again and continue this conversation. Thank you very much, Femi. Senior legislative aid, stakeholders, engagement and mobilization to the Senate President and public analyst. Appreciate your coming on. Okay, stay with us. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We'll take on the other important subject in the land, and that's the matter of hunger. How do we avert hunger? How do we avert a food crisis? That's when we come back.
Lagos is the most visited state in Africa as the 5th largest economy on the continent. Covering the state and its government is no mean feat, it's a busy beat. We go beyond the curtain of tapes to travel in far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos State government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
We tell you stories that define our collective well-being as Lagosians. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel.
TVC News. First with breaking news.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas. It shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked, and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move weigh in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Okay, welcome back. And second part of the program, and our guest this time is Dr. Olukayode Oyeleye. He's an agriculture business analyst. Welcome to the program, sir. Thank you very much. You always respond when we invite you. Now, this food crisis, a lot of that, if not all of it, is going to be about agriculture. We have figures in the region of what? 31.5 million people across 26 states, reportedly, that these people are in danger of hunger. Urban centers might say that they don't really know the problem as acutely, but when they look at the price of food, whether it is in the market, whether it is in your canteen or your bukateria, has sometimes 3 times to 4 times as much as he used to pay before. That's when they know that for now they are managing to sort of keep the boat floating, but only just barely. So let me start off by saying that you being a stakeholder in this conversation, how bad is this situation really? Is Nigeria, other countries use expressions like starvation. We haven't come to that level, or have we?
Well, we've not come to the level of starvation, obviously. But if things are not controlled and the situation is not arrested, I know too distant a future, starvation may start staring people in the face. That's the truth about it. What we need to talk about now is presently Nigerians are adjusting by way of maybe reducing the quantity of what they consume, or the frequency of consumption.
Yes.
And that's why when you talk about people having 3 square meals in a day, now people have like about 2, or sometimes even less. And then, of course, if you talk about these things really affect, more seriously. They are people down the ladder economically, whose income is very small. And then, of course, those in that category, again, depending on the size of families, it affects them a lot. There's that problem about how to feed a large family for people who subsist on low income. So that's a major issue. And so really, starvation may not be unleashed on a nation overnight, but it can also come gradually with some telltale signs. And I think the signs are all over the place for us to see. When you talk about the figures, 31.5 million, well, usually, I mean, as someone who deals with data, I would say that I have a lot of reservation about a number of, or even most of the figures we bandy about officially, because first and foremost, how did we come about that figure? That's the first thing. Another is that even when we talk about Nigeria's population, as far as today is concerned, it's still based on guesstimate. The last time we did census, what we had since then up to now had been annual increment by way of estimation. And so it's not as if we really have something hard and fast that we can talk about right now. But even then, it's still worrisome. That's the way I want to put it now.
It is worrisome,
Yes,
and the government is reportedly struggling to stem this tide. All sorts of people are coming into, when I say all sorts of people, really I should just group that under people who are trying to bring a humanitarian angle to the whole thing. But government for itself, when you look at the way, when the president took over, the situation is said to be worse now than at that time. And probably one can understand. We don't need to go back to, look, a lot stems from the whole matter of removing the subsidy on fuel. A lot stems from that. Now, government is still struggling. There's a report that says that IDPs across the country are expected to increase from 14,000 to 83,000. And these are very... you said that you tend to take these figures with
a pinch of salt.
With a pinch of salt.
Yes, it might be on the higher side, it might be on the lower side, but the bottom line is that it's still worrisome all the same.
It is. It is. Yeah. It is still worrisome.
Yeah, yes.
So whereas government, when government talks about releasing grain from the strategic reserve, a lot of people, can you sort of explain that and how that is expected to be able to at least address part of the problem, if not all of it?
Okay, we've been on this issue of releasing grains from the strategic food reserves now for about 2 months. I remember the last time I was on this program in the studio, we spoke about it. And the issue is, do we really have an idea of what we actually have in our reserve? That's one thing. And how far can this go? That's another thing. And then by the time we get to the stage of distribution, the issue of leakages, the issue of logistics, and many other issues around even spoilage, because we may not know what quantity of what is in the in the reserve had actually gone bad that cannot be given out for consumption. So we now have to, deal with a plethora of issues. And then, of course, at the end of the day, we now want to ask ourselves how much really would get to the intended beneficiaries.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the interest in in the process, those who are involved in the distribution, what are their interests? Because some of these might find their ways into the market. Some might also go, across the country. It's not impossible. And then, of course, some will still be kept away. Now, the problem actually is that if we don't have a well-articulated system by which we will distribute this to the intended beneficiaries, it might still end up not achieving any appreciable impact on the people. And then again, the issue is...
Sorry, sir, you said something I needed a bit of clarification on there. You said the impact of spoilage is not often taken into account.
Yeah.
One thought that this whole matter about national storage and the reserves was a highly evolved and scientific process. You think that you could stock stuff in there and it's going to last for as long as possible. But you're saying not necessarily so.
Correct. It's not necessarily so. Quite a number of, or even quantity-wise, a lot of what is stored.
Spoils.
Yes, of course.
So how does that happen?
Okay.
Or is that normal?
Well, start from how this agricultural produce is aggregated.
Yes.
And what are their conditions when they are brought in? For instance, you want to talk about corn. Have they been dried up to like about 14% moisture level that is expected of them? And if not, then of course, if the moisture level is higher than that 14%, of course, over a short period of time, it starts growing moldy.
And so nobody's going to take it into the silos, is my thinking.
Well, that's your thinking, but in reality, much of this will get into the silo. And don't also forget the contractors that are appointed to supply. Many of them have political connections that actually circumvent some of these checks and balances. And so they get into the storage all the same, and some of them will get spoiled. The same goes with even paddy, and some other food items like that. So when you look at that, the issue of quality control is actually very paramount here in ensuring a reduction to a very low level of how much of what gets wasted. So we cannot rule out that aspect of what gets wasted by way of spoilage in storage.
Wow. Now let's also look at government on its own is struggling, as we said, with this problem. How about other people who are taking a humanitarian approach to the whole thing? One of the front runners on this is Dangote, the richest man in Africa, the richest company in Africa, or at least his business group. And he has flagged off a distribution of 120,000 bags of 10 kilogram bags of rice to the needy in Kano and Lagos. Then there's also another initiative where he's talking about 1 million 10 kg bags of rice to be distributed to reach 1 million vulnerable people in the entire 774 local governments. 10 kg of rice. We first of all have to be thankful. We have to appreciate whoever brings anything. But as humongous as those numbers would seem in the warehouse, wherever Dangote and his people are organizing those things, when you look at the actual number and the population that you referred to earlier, how would you categorize efforts like this? He's not the only one. Dangote is not the only one, but at least he's in the Lagos state, for instance, also is trying its own efforts to set up special markets where people can go in and buy things at much reduced prices. But talk to me about these interests, these intervention interests.
Okay. Yes, the act of philanthropy is actually praiseworthy. So one commends Dangote's efforts, the fact that he tries to come in to give some food items to people. But like you rightly pointed out, the figure looks very big when you look at it on the surface. But then, of course, 10 kilogram bag of rice to how many people? And then for how many days will they consume? Here's the problem. In peacetime, such humanitarian supports pale into insignificance. The reason is very simple. People are mobile, people can move around. It's not as if their movements are restricted like in the case of war or natural disasters and what have you. It is in those cases, yes, they make so much of a difference. But for those who, well, maybe the number of meals they have in a day had only been, drastically reduced, you give that to them, the impact wouldn't really be so much felt. But at least as a stopgap or as an immediate, a measure to actually reduce the impact of this food shortage on them, yes, it's commendable. But what we should be looking at actually goes beyond this idea of merely distributing food items. We should be thinking about how do we support producers. We should be targeting the farmers, especially the rural farmers, for instance, so they can produce. And thankfully, many of the food items that we consume are staples, like corn, like rice, like cowpeas. They are short duration crops that within a space of 3 months or below, they get to maturity after planting. So we can actually harvest and then have a quantum increase, in supply of food, for us. So we should be talking about.
So that's where we should be concentrating.
Yes, we should concentrate.
Greatest effort.
Correct. We should concentrate on supporting these farmers. If we give them planting materials, for instance, and then of course we support them with soil enriching facilities or inputs like fertilizer.
Not to mention security, supporting them also.
No, sure. Security is also very, very important. And if we give all this to them, and then again, the issue of weather, because one, we expect that the weather should be friendly, rain should come at the appropriate time. But in states where there had always been, most of the time, this shortage of rains, irrigation facilities can also come in to assist so that when they are supported, they will be able to produce significantly to boost food production and, for more people to consume. So what is given for consumption goes away almost immediately and it doesn't get back to the system.
That's the problem. That's the problem with all these efforts that I said are gigantic. Can you imagine anybody loading up from his own... did I have a caller from Oshogbo? Did I get that right? Is it caller from Oshogbo? Good morning. Can you hear me? Caller from Oshogbo, is that right?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. I can't hear you in studio, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to continue this food crisis issue. The major problems we have in the country, if getting it right.
Okay, it's slightly better now. Maybe we can get it a bit more. But please carry on, caller. Please carry on. Carry on, sir.
Yeah. One is insecurity. Two is
we can hear you now.
People are
not ready to go to farm again. And I think the only way to do is to encourage the farmers, the real farmers. I'm not talking of Thai scholar farmers. And the only way they can get through that is to go through the local government, because each local government has this agric session, so that they can go through that and make sure that they register those who are real farmers, along with the traditional rulers who know their people. The insecurity, I think, the government can still, the government of Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing very, very wonderfully well. As far as the menace of insecurity is concerned, but they can still do better. The government can still do better. Those are my contributions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kola, for calling in from Osun State. Tinubu's government is doing well, but there's a lot of room for improvement, according to him. And he, went over those areas that you were speaking about. But sort of get a sort of a tight approach on it, involve traditional rulers, know who the real farmers are, and those kind of things. You would have thought that these are things that we would have got on some time ago.
Well, I'm not too sure I agree with him about involving traditional rulers in farming and all of those things. I think majority of those who farm in this country, north, south, east, and west, do it on their own as personal, individual ventures, whether on commercial scale or on subsistence scale. So, well, bring in traditional rulers, then you now establish another layer of, quasi bureaucracy, and that's not what we are looking for, because we're talking about food here that time element is of essence, and then of course you don't want to bring in a case where people will now have to be called to come and sit down, and then we allocate this, we give you this and that.
Yes.
It's going to actually defeat the whole essence.
It will be counterproductive.
Counterproductive in summary.
Mazi Okorafor, good morning to you, sir. I think you're our last caller today. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess. You see, sir, any calculation we'll be making in Nigeria today in terms of food crisis, there is only one option we should do. Let us go back to the basis that in those 70s, 80s, that Obasanjo program of School to Learn program.
Operation Feed the Nation.
School to Learn program, yes. If 36 states of the Federation, as you rightly look on the caption there, we'll go back to School to Learn program that all these our youths that we have today are waiting for palliative. We engage them. Sayori will be exporting any type of produce in any local government to outside Nigeria with standard production. So the board of contention is that School to Learn program is and we have to do what is creating all this problem about the NEPA, about this daylight, about the student is because food is not sufficient.
All right, Mazi, we're going to have to leave it there. So sorry, but we don't have the time anymore. Maybe your quick comment on that last idea about, remember Obasanjo's Operation Feed the Nation, OFN. What's different between that and now?
Well, time has changed many things, and then some of those paradigms may not be exactly as applicable today as they were. We're talking about over 40 years ago. So we should be talking more now about new paradigms as to what can help us to be able to meet our needs. And then before the time runs out, I would have to come back to the government. Government should move its officers, beginning with the ministers. Let them be on the field. Let them relate with the subnational governments like the states and the local governments, and then look at how individual states can latch on their areas of comparative advantages and get into massive production.
We're going to have to leave it there. Yes. Thank you very much that you got that bit out. Dr. Olukayode Oyeleye, Agriculture Business Analyst. Appreciate you as always. Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Wish we had more time on this, but we'll return to the subject. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye now.
Mortein insecticide with its improved formulation kills 100% mosquitoes that spread malaria. So, spread the message of how we can fight to end malaria with Mortein. Mortein, our number one choice.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Today, there are many complex, boring, expensive, and useless exercise machines in the market. Or you pay over 400,000 naira a year for gym membership and never go. ShopX TV is proud to introduce Total Crunch Evolution, the compact, versatile fitness solution that is perfect for you. With Total Crunch, you get a complete fitness workout in one machine. Say goodbye to ineffective and complicated exercise machines. Now, you have the power to transform your fitness journey and get the body you have always wanted right in the comfort of your own home. Total Crunch is the efficient and effective way to build muscle, tone and tighten your legs, shape your back,